Need to change back to a mage.
What is your will?
Oh, I want to see if... Yeah. Yep. Yep. Quickly to mage.
What is your will?
And resume study. Now we're mage again. It's quite easy and fast, no problems. What happens to our... Yeah... Shit. Forgot, we lose the mage only items. Okay, what's that? +1 armor class. We got that from Anna. And Dakan will be... No, he won't. He already has. He has better items. Okay, who's next? Maybe Anna, because she actually goes to melee combat quite often, so she could use the... Nordrum doesn't really need that much, because the weapon range of the crossbows is quite limited, but he won't go to melee directly, so he doesn't need so much armor class. Okay, I'll save. Now we have Fall from Grace left. I don't think we can get much out of her. At least not now. Maybe some history things. Yeah, do you ever use weapons? No, there's seldom the need, and I find that I cannot bear the touch of cold iron, or even steel for long periods of time. In any event, I have a number of natural defenses that tend to discourage attackers.
Updated my journal.
The kiss of a succubus is lethal to mortals, though they rarely realize the danger until their death is almost upon them. Can resort to it when need arises. Okay. What did you... Some questions. Tell me of the Tanari. The Tanari are fiends, some call them demons. They have embraced evil for chaos' sake. They dwell upon the poisoned plains of the abyss, where they feed on their own rage and lash out across the multiverse, despoiling all they touch. They forever seek to tempt others into committing crimes of passion and vice. You're a Tanari, but she's lawful. That is correct. I'm a lesser Tanari, more specifically, a succubus. She gives a soft sigh. I'm afraid we're a little too common in the lower planes and elsewhere for our own good. Most of my race spend their time seducing mortals with various pleasures of the flesh. I'd like to think that I have distanced myself from that. It is ultimately a trivial and non-productive way to... Yeah, we talked about this. Why did you come by the name Fall from Grace? The meaning of names is a complicated subject. There is much to be said, and a great deal that is better left unsaid. Well, it's probably not her real name. Perhaps not. There are names which are given and names which are earned. Who is to say which is the real one? I think the name which is earned carries a greater weight. That may be so. Why do you think that? Because a name that is earned is not arbitrary. A name that is earned tells what you've accomplished. Your point is well taken. So why are you Fall from Grace? Would it matter? It is an earned name. It matters to me. I would like to know how you came to be called that. I have fallen from my people. Some would say risen from my people, perhaps. But fall feels more right to me. She looks at you questioningly. Does that make sense? Yeah, it does. After all, fall carries with it an underlying sense of loss. Falls from Grace is silent for a moment, then nods thoughtfully. Yes, perhaps that is why it felt as it did. I came to terms with the loss long ago, but the name has remained. Are you sure? Fall from Grace meets your gaze, and you are once again struck by the brilliant shade of blue in her eyes. It is turbulent, like the ocean before a storm. I had thought so, yet in speaking to you, you have caused me to realize some things. You have my thanks. Hey, if you want to talk about it, let me know. You're most kind, I will do so.
Yes?
Hmm. Tell me about the Sensates. Could I join? To join the Sensate, one needs only to be a student of life. I meant I was interested in joining the faction.
Updated my journal.
Of course, forgive my teasing. If you wish to join the Sensate, I would inquire at the Civic Fest Hall. Someone there should be able to help you.
Yes?
Can you teach me anything of the art? Probably not. Bolton Great shakes her head. No, I don't believe so. The art and the disciplines I practice are different. My powers as you see them stem from my faith, not from manipulating energies as art does. Art is a mechanism but by which the power of the multiverse may be harnessed, through gestures, rituals and devices. My powers come to me through a different means. My faith and the nature of my belief allows some of the multiverse to reveal itself to me. What do you believe in? I believe in experience. I believe a person may be changed for better. The more of the multiverse they are allowed to perceive, and the more of the multiverse is allowed to perceive them. My belief is in the nature of experience allows me to... I suppose the best explanation is that my faith allows me to see things differently. When you see the multiverse in such a way, you learn how to change things, mending wounds, seeing a person's heart, and so on, just by willing them to happen. Those changes you make seem a lot like spells. How do you learn to do those things? Do you have a spell book? No, my spells, as you call them, come to me after I have rested and centered myself. When I sleep and awaken, I can focus myself once more. The amount of faith required to change the multiverse around me can be quite taxing on the psyche, I'm afraid. Just being able to see how to change things is not enough. You must have the strength to make the change happen. And last...
Yes?
Question about our travels. We've asked this about before. You're from Abyss. How did you end up in Sigil? It's a long tale and not as interesting as some would make it out to be. It's intertwined in other tales of war and slavery. It is not a pleasant tale. I will still hear it. Very well. No, my past is not a long one, at least by Tanari standards. I do not know if you are familiar with the Tanari, but we are a race of the vast staggered of the Abyss, a staggered series of planes filled with chaos and evil hearts. I'm a Tanari, a fiend, a succubus. I grew up upon the first plane of the Abyss. My mother was a succubus herself, as I am sure you are aware. Succubi tempt mortals to bring their souls to the Abyss. My mother was among the finest, seducing countless mortal men to their eternal damnation. She now dwells in the Abyss, selling her children into slavery. Yeah, that's harsh. Yes, she sold me to the Batezu, the blood enemies of the Tanari. I think she rather expected that they would kill me despite her knowledge of other subjects. She knows little of their culture and the light they take in tormenting others. How did you escape? The Batezu are a proud species, and though a Tanari could best them at anything was intolerable, and the thought that Tanari could best them at anything was intolerable to them, so I challenged one of the proudest of the Cordogan to a contest of improvisation, and my Tanari nature afforded me an advantage. You see, the Tanari are creatures of chaos, wild and unpredictable. The Batesu are more cunning, with orderly hearts. They understand improvisation, but they are not its best practitioners, and thus I won my freedom, and my path brought me to Sigil. So that's why she's probably lawful. Sold as a child to the Batezu, at least partly. Can I read your diary? Yeah, that's not gonna happen. No. We'll leave it at that.
Yes?
Yeah, I wanted to talk about our companions. That's something that only Fall from Grace does. Yeah, we'll talk to start with Mort. Basically, because Fall from Grace can offer insight into companions, and it might help open up new dialogue options with the companions. And I think Mort might actually be one of them, because Mort doesn't talk about anything to us really, so we might always have to gain information from an outside source, so to leverage our way into him. Mort is most peculiar. I've seen a great deal in my life, but nothing quite like him. He behaves somewhat like a mimir. Granted, there's no denying he is knowledgeable, but he has a certain... He sniffs the air and wrinkles her nose. Praetorian smell about him. A Praetorian smell, yes, but he's not a Beatezu, at least of any variety I've encountered. The smell alone, however, makes me treat the skull with caution. Yeah, Batar is one of the outer planes, the home of a race of beings called the Batesu. Evil creatures, and yet they are organized and lawful in many of their behavior. Some might call them devils. They believe in contracts and hierarchy. In many ways they are like evil bureaucrats.